Chad Brendel on the show with us. And Chad, what's the biggest news in the Cincinnati world this week? Is it the game against Nebraska at Arrowhead, or is it one of your favorite sons getting engaged to the most famous person on earth?
So the biggest news in the Brendel household, I don't know if I've told you guys this. I think my daughter is named after Jason.
Yeah.
My daughter's name is Kelsey. So now my daughter is figuring out ways for her to get into the wedding. Like, she has told me to contact Jason and Kylie and let Jason and Kylie know that she'll babysit their 4 daughters so that she can maybe get in. Like, she's been concocting for days now ways that dad is going to get her into the Taylor Travis wedding. That's been the big story at the Brendel household.
No pressure, Chad. You tell her you get right on that. No problem, honey.
Yeah, I will make it happen somehow, some way. We'll make it. She's mad. She's got a volleyball game tonight. That's where I'm going. As soon as I'm done with this, I got the Simon Kitten volleyball dad quarter zip on. She wanted to be in Kansas City tonight because there's a very good chance that Taylor is there. So, can't win them all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chad, we talked to Scott Satterfield at Media Days. He had this glint in his eye. We keep talking about it, that he kind of knows something that maybe everybody else doesn't know about his team. He's very confident. Brennan Sorsby is back and healthy. He's shown improvement year over year in his career. So there's no reason to think that he won't be at least a little bit better this year, if not a lot. If he stays healthy, is there any reason to believe that this Bearcats team won't take a gigantic step forward?
I'm not ready for gigantic.
Yeah.
I do think they are going to be better. I do think they are going to take a step forward. The biggest question for me is that they have, in these 2 years, been prone to big mistakes that have cost them games. And big mistakes that, if they didn't happen, we'd be talking a lot differently about the Satterfield era so far at Cincinnati. We'd be talking about a team that easily could have gone 7-5 in the regular season last year. And if they go 7-5 and go to a bowl game and they return as much as they're returning now, boy, there's a lot of hype around Cincinnati. But they have made these mistakes, and they have put the opponents in better positions with more momentum in the closing minutes of games to get across the finish line. Before I'm ready to say they're going to make a major jump, I need to see that they have, gotten themselves into a position where even if a mistake happens, it doesn't snowball and it doesn't create a loss. I have to see that, but I do think this is the best talent he's had by far since he's been here. It's the deepest team he's had since he's been here. Now they have to go out and win games.
What did you think of the uniform update? And I guess some of that was new as well, right? Like the red helmet, the Cincy, rather than the full logo. What did you think of the new threads?
I think what's happening tonight is hilarious.
Hilarious,
gentlemen.
Yeah.
They are going into Arrowhead Stadium. Cincinnati's the home team because this game was originally supposed to be at Nippert Stadium. They are the home team at Arrowhead Stadium. There's going to be 70,000 Nebraska fans in red chanting "Go Big Red," and the team on the field wearing red is not going to be Nebraska. That is an electric troll job to me. Highest level troll job. Go Big Red. The team in red is not Nebraska. I love it.
Yeah, somebody had to have figured that out along the way, right? Just kudos to whoever that was like, what would be great? Bring out these red uniforms at Arrowhead against Nebraska. So, yeah, I agree with you. Brilliant on whoever deserves credit, all the credit to you in the world. So this game, I don't think anybody is of the belief anymore that Nebraska is some unbeatable machine. We've all seen how the last 25 years have gone.
Their fans are still of that belief.
There are a lot of fans that still feel like it's the 90s and they're still not that far separated from it and whatnot. But what do you think about the matchup itself? What do you think the chances are of Cincinnati pulling out some magic tonight and grabbing a win, or just maybe being more competitive than some people who don't know any better assume that they could be?
Look, in examining roster to roster and looking at these teams side by side, there is not a significant talent difference between these two teams. There are a couple positions I think Nebraska has the edge. There are a couple positions I think Cincinnati has the edge. I think the two quarterbacks are pretty close. So it's going to be game one. You never know. It's going to be execution. Who is able to avoid that monumental mistake, that game-changing turnover or special teams gaffe? The team that plays cleaner is going to win this game. This is not, look, in 2018, we watched Cincinnati go into Michigan to open the season and get their teeth kicked in. There was no chance Cincinnati was going to win that game. 2019, Ohio State, no chance Cincinnati was going to win that game. That is not the case tonight. These two teams are not that far apart in talent. The team that plays a cleaner, better game is going to win the game. And I think that if you're Cincinnati, if you're a Cincinnati fan, that's all you can ask for in this situation.
So Nebraska went out and got some big wide receivers in the portal, and Isaiah Hunter, Dane Key, to go with Dylan Raiola, whose his potential is through the roof, and we saw a lot of that last year when he was a true freshman. How do you feel about the defense? And look, Nebraska's going to be physical. Matt Rule plays physical football on both sides. How do you feel about the defense be able to withstand what will now be a probably bigger focus on stretching the field than Nebraska was able to do last year?
That's what we don't know about Cincinnati, is what is the ability level of their secondary. They think they have improved it substantially. They got a national all-name team guy at corner now, gentlemen. Matthew McDoom from Coastal Carolina. Just an all-name team. He's had a really good camp. Him and Logan Wilson, who will line up opposite him at corner, are both very talented, but they're both 5'9". Is Nebraska able to take advantage of that? And Cincinnati plays a lot of zone. Dylan Raiola has last year showed that he was good against zone. Do we see more man? Does Cincinnati mix it up a little bit to confuse him with their three safety look? That's really, when Nebraska's offense is on the field, that's really the question for me. I think Cincinnati's very good at linebacker. Cincinnati still has Don Corleone. I don't know that they're going to get a ton of pressure, but they need to get some pressure to get Raiola off the spot. You guys are familiar with Dana Holgorsen. He likes to get the ball out quick as an offensive coordinator and then try to suck you up and then hit you over the top as the game goes on. How does Cincinnati, in their zone 3-3-5 scheme, how do they defend as Nebraska is trying to throw it to the backs, get it in the hands of Dane Key, who's an excellent playmaker? If Cincinnati can keep those gains at 3-4 yards instead of 8, 10, 12 yards, I think Cincinnati's defense is going to be in a good place. But that secondary for the Bearcats is almost entirely new. How do they perform under the lights, game one, against a team that wants to throw it around? This is not a Nebraska team that's going to run the ball a ton.
So Don Corleone's had his fair share of successes and also his fair share of setbacks. What do you think he's poised for this year? And is he a guy who's finally going to feel like he's healthy and can put it all out there?
Yeah, I mean, he was healthy last year. He just, I don't know how mentally you handle that, right? To find out at 21 years old, you've got blood clots in your lungs. And, if he didn't catch that in time, like that, that can be fatal. Like, that's in your brain. How do you mentally get over that? I think he's had a lot of time to learn how to navigate and how to handle that, that he didn't have last year. I think last year, life just came at him really fast. And I don't think he was as effective as he had been the two previous years. I expect a big year from Corleone. I expect, Dana Holgorsen had the comment this week. If you watched his press conference, I believe he said, Corleone, the last time we played him, he retired 3 of my offensive linemen. Somebody said, what retire? He at beginning of the game, first series of the game, he killed all three of them, and they never recovered. He can do that to the interior of your offensive line if you let him. So I think he looked really good. He had a couple plays that were vintage Don Corleone this year, where like the quarterback takes the snap, takes 1 second to turn and hand the ball off, and Corleone's right there in the backfield, like with his arms around the quarterback and the running back. And you're like, how the hell did he get here? How did that happen so fast? I expect a big year from Dante.
If you get in a room with him, can you pitch this to him? I mentioned this in the show the other day. You're our direct line to him. His sack celebration, since he is the Godfather, needs to be this.
I'll talk to him about that.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be. I think it would, like, it's very subtle, and it's not going to get flagged if you just that thing.
Yeah. It probably would get flagged if he like pulled a horse's head out, and, like put it on the field. So this might work a little better. I'll discuss that on Tuesday when I talk to Dante. And if he does it, you guys owe me.
Absolutely.
I get him to do it. You owe me.
Oh yeah. No, you'll have. Look, again, as an Italian, I understand how favors work. Okay, I get it. Like that's how things go. So Chad, for Cincinnati fans, do you see them in a nice anticipatory spot for this team right now? Because they had Luke Fickell, who had the best team that you could ever imagine having at Cincinnati. And then obviously, you get to the playoff in those conditions with that kind of persecution on a team that's not in the power conferences and do it, he's going to get another job. Do you feel that, like, at least, hey, we think we see things are changing a little bit?
I think this fan base wants to see it on the field.
Yeah.
Like they're at a point where, okay, you've gotten a little grace, one because of the turnover in coaching staffs and roster, in part because the jump from the American Athletic Conference to the Big 12. People aren't thrilled with the way the last 2 years have gone, but I think there is like okay, now's time. Tonight is a big night for Scott Satterfield. Like it, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a must win, right? It's game one. You got a long season to go. You think you've got a really good team. You got a long way to go. But in terms of the fan base, it'll be interesting to see which way this goes, because I think if they lose tonight, a lot of the casual fans, you're in Cincinnati. You've got the Reds. The Bengals are about to start. FC Cincinnati, the MLS team, is number one in MLS. Like, it is a tough market to get a foothold if you're not winning. And if they lose tonight, it'll be interesting to see the reaction from that casual fan, because it's hard to get them back in this town once you kind of lose that momentum, because there's so many other, it's not a big town. LA can support all these different teams. New York can support all these different teams. Cincinnati, 3-4 teams all going at kind of the same time. You need to win. You need to have momentum. This game is a big part of that, I think.
Yeah, you have to. If you have to make people pick their favorite, you got to make sure you're the favorite, right? Right. So if I'm a Reds fan and I'm a Bearcats fan and I'm a Bengals fan, like, where am I going to spend my money? Like, you do have to make sure that, like, you know what? I know that the Bearcats never going to let me down. Like, that's where you want to be, as opposed to like the Reds, which it's been a long time.
That's why UC basketball for so long had such a stranglehold on this town, because they were with Bob Huggins and then Mick Cronin. They were never going to let you down. They were the consistent winner. They always, would provide an NCAA tournament team, a team that was at the top of their conference. Like, whatever metric you want to use, landmark you want to use, they would meet it. And that won over this town. Cincinnati football hasn't, really, let's be honest. Mark D'Antonio to Brian Kelly, that was the beginning of Cincinnati football. Sure, they've been around for 130 years or whatever, but the beginning of Cincinnati football was that era. So it's really only been massively popular for 20 years. So it ebbs and flows. If you're not winning, it's hard to get this town to buy in. They for the national perception of this program, for the local perception of this program, a win would be massive tonight. A loss, and you take a chance that some of those casuals aren't going to jump on your bandwagon this year.
Yep, absolutely. Chad Brendel of Bearcat Journal. Chad, enjoy volleyball tonight.
I am also now the PA announcer for the varsity Simon Kenton girls volleyball team. I was told at the parents' meeting this year, by the way, we've volunteered you to fill this role. So I did 3 hours of radio yesterday, 3 hours of podcasting today, 3 hours of radio yesterday, 3 hours of podcasting last night, 3 more hours of radio this morning. Now I got to go do PA for a volleyball game and a post-game show. I'm not talking all weekend.
Yeah, just get yourself some nice warm tea with honey in it.
Bourbon. It's usually I go bourbon.
Hey,
yeah.
Look at this. This was my Cowboys traded Micah Parsons medicine right here.
Did you drink the first half when they traded Luka and the second half for Micah?
Craig is the Mavericks fan. I'm a Spurs guy.
Okay.
So no, Craig has left the Mavericks. Like I can't break up with the Cowboys.
You can.
Yeah. Craig was like, look, Craig's Tina Turner. I'm not Tina Turner. Craig eventually said, I'm out of here, Ike. And I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm not coming back till there's new ownership, which could be never in my lifetime. But I think it's not apples to apples because we've known for a while Micah Parsons. This has been a thing. Whereas the Luka thing was I literally woke up the next morning and all of a sudden this guy's gone, and it was just so completely out of nowhere. But man, tonight ought to be a big night, Chad. Maybe a real big night, depending on what happens out there. But looking forward to seeing the Bearcats. And man, appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you soon.